Now, the long-term care sector continues to be impacted by the pandemic, with an advocate sounding the alarm about several homes currently dealing with COVID-19 outbreaks during this seventh wave. So joining us live now with more details on this troubling trend is Dr. Vivian Stamatopoulos. Dr. Stamatopoulos, thank you so much for joining us this morning once again.
Anytime. Thanks, Tammie.
We'll start off with the outbreaks, because you have been sounding the alarm about the fact that there is a staggering number of long-term care homes here in the province that are dealing with these COVID-19 outbreaks. Can you break that down for us?
Yeah, I started to pay attention towards the end of June because I had a feeling that removing the broader mask mandate in the community would have a ripple effect into long-term care, as these things usually do. So what we started with, towards the end of June, we had, on June 29th, when I checked, we had 44 long-term care homes in Ontario in outbreak. And the most recent update, which was August 10th, we have close to 200 homes, 191 homes. So that's the number of Ontarian long-term care homes that have gone in outbreak have more than quadrupled over this previous, just over a month, 42-day period. And within that time as well, we've lost over 150 residents to COVID-19. Forget how many others we've lost due to dehydration, heat-related illness, because of the issues with air conditioning that are still outstanding in long-term care. I mean, it's a big problem. And unfortunately, I hear from families all the time that are like, why isn't there more awareness about how many homes are in outbreak, and the fact that this sector is back on fire and our Minister of Long-Term Care is seemingly nowhere to be found? It's disconcerting.
Now, you mentioned families who are talking about the situation in long-term care homes. What kind of stories have you heard, especially when a home is in outbreak? A lot of these seniors, once again, having to go back into isolation, and we know how sad that was during the first wave as well.
It's so upsetting and heartbreaking because you hear the same stories over and over. I had a granddaughter reach out to me the other day saying, my grandmother just entered long-term care at the end of July, and ever since she's been in, ever since she was admitted, the home's been in outbreak and she's been in confinement. And it has had, you can imagine, a devastating effect. You're first of all already in this facility, you're new to the facility, and then you're effectively locked down. And this is the experience with many homes that are in rolling outbreaks, because this is what we're seeing. So they might be an outbreak, and then potentially the precautions get lifted, and then a day later, 2 days later, they're back in outbreak, and the same situation is unfolding again. And this is nearly a third of all long-term care homes that are going through these rolling outbreaks and ongoing confinement. And what is the plan to make sure that we're protecting these residents and doing the things that we've been calling on this government to do for months? How about mandating N95 use throughout the facilities, more frequent testing, rapid testing upon arrival? I mean, the minimum they're doing right now is twice a week. That was the last precautions put in place by Rod Phillips, who is now gone. We have seen nothing, no new precautions come down from our new Minister of Long-Term Care. I would love someone to ask him, what is he doing to actually safeguard this sector? What's the plan? Because I haven't seen anything from him since he's taken office.
And the thing is, this all comes months after that military report into the long-term care situation here in the province. Are you surprised that that report, which was so shocking at the time, hasn't led to any more dramatic changes?
It's horrifying. It's horrifying. I just wrote about this for a book chapter. The fact, and I reread those reports. There were two reports. Keep in mind, there was the initial report that shocked everyone, deservedly so. But then they did a military exit report. That was kept largely under the radar, often because the government released that report at like 5 p.m. on a Friday. I remember it clearly. But I read it, and I read both. And the fact that we have done so little to actually, fix the problems that remain. We're still hearing the same issues. Keep in mind, if we do a long-term care month in review, so to speak, the last few weeks, we've seen a home stop because have to close and relocate its residents because of ongoing staffing shortages. We've seen another home have to be taken over because their consistent 3-year failure to comply with the legislation. I mean, there's ongoing neglect, abuse. We have multiple stories since those reports came out. And what is being done? They created some new Bill 37 long-term care legislation, which is supposed to protect residents. And have they levied one penalty? Have they charged one long-term care home with all of the abuse and neglect we've seen? No. Where are those charges? Where are those penalties? They were supposed to have exorbitant fines that they could now go after bad actors with. Why aren't they levying the fines and the penalties and the charges they have at their disposal? Why? Somebody please ask that question to our minister. Instead, they let them off the hook, and the same pattern of abuse just continues over and over and over.
All right, Dr. Vivian Stamatopoulos, thank you so much. Unfortunately, we're out of time this morning, but thank you so much for the work that you do as well. And we're hoping to see, of course, 5th doses being offered to long-term care residents later on.
That's the next thing I was going to say. Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much once again.